Hello, my name is Eunice Song, and I am the Executive Director of the Korean American Coalition. In light of the escalation of hate incidents and hate crimes that have been affecting our community, we wanted to bring in Officer Orlando Martinez from the LAPD headquarters to share about the process of what it takes to report a hate crime or hate incident to law enforcement and what the process entails. Thank you so much for being here today to join us to share with our community and educate us about the process of hate crimes and hate incidents.
You're very welcome.
So I want to start off by asking, what are the first steps one should take if they become a victim of a hate crime or hate incident?
So there's 3 ways to report a hate crime. You can flag down a police officer, you can go to the station, or you can call either our emergency or non-emergency line and have someone come out. With hate crimes, an officer will always respond and take a report at the scene.
Can you give us more information when someone were to come into a police station and report a hate incident or a hate crime? If you could walk us through that process, that would be great.
Should you choose to go to the station to report being the victim of a hate crime, you'll meet with one of the officers that is at the front desk. Tell them your story, and the officer will decide what crime the circumstances meet. They will file the report, and then it will get assigned to a detective, either a detective at headquarters or a detective from your local division. Now that detective will be responsible for ensuring that the victim gets connected with victim services and also for gathering evidence, compiling a chronological narrative of what happened, and presenting that case either to the district attorney or the city attorney for charges.
Oh, thank you, Detective. Could you just describe the difference between a hate crime and a hate incident and whether we should report that to an officer or the law enforcement?
The difference between a hate incident and a hate crime is a hate incident is a non-criminal event that's motivated by bias. So if someone is out on a street corner yelling anti-Asian slurs, that's not a criminal offense, but the LAPD will still come out and take a report. We want to make sure that that is documented and that it doesn't continue to happen or it doesn't get worse and evolve into a hate crime later on. Now, a hate crime would be a crime that's motivated by hate, such as if I cut someone off and then I get out of the car and I push them and I yell anti-Asian slurs. That would be a battery motivated by hate against the Asian community. So that's the difference between a hate crime and a hate incident.
That's good. So it's really important to report whether it's a hate incident or a hate crime. I think if you could shed some more light as to why even hate incidents, the reporting of hate incidents are important, that would be great.
If we have an area where a lot of hate incidents are occurring, we would want to send community service officers out there. We would want to help fortify the location. We would want to put extra patrol out there to ensure that it doesn't get worse. And another thing is, if in the evolution of crime, sometimes people who do things and get away with it tend to get worse and worse or commit more and more serious crimes. We want to intervene as early as we can before someone is hurt. And the only way we can know that these things are occurring is if the community reports it to us.
Thank you for sharing that information. I would like to ask, with the follow-up, what type of information is needed to file an effective crime report?
A thorough report is always best. So if you witness or you're the victim of a hate crime, you want to get video if you can. When you're taking video or documenting what happened, you want to document other witnesses, other cars that are around, other people that are around. Give the police and the detectives, additional people to speak with from different points of view. It bolsters the case. As much detail as possible, what the suspect's wearing, how tall they are, age range. We understand that in the moment, these things won't be as important. Your safety is going to be the most important. But if you can, finding someone who's not involved and keeping them around until the officers show up, or at least getting their contact information, they'll be able to give an account that maybe they caught something that you missed, the color of clothing, a license plate, type of car, a tattoo, a scar, something so we can help identify the suspects and get them off the street so that they don't do this to anybody else.
Thank you for sharing the importance of what a witness can potentially provide and how critical it is for them to put their safety first and foremost. Once a case has been reported, how does it get elevated and then prosecuted? Could you shed some light as to what happens from the LAPD perspective of a case?
Once someone makes a report to the LAPD, usually it's either to the responding officers or at the front desk. That report gets a report number, and for hate crimes and hate incidents, the information of the victim is always confidential. Once the investigation is complete, we take all hate crimes to the district attorney's office for filing consideration. Depending on the level of the initial offense, whether it's a felony or a misdemeanor, the district attorney's office may file the case, they may send it for further investigation, or they may refer it to the city attorney, which in the city of LA handles all misdemeanor cases. From that point, it gets filed, and then we start the court proceedings.
I see. Can you confirm the increase in hate incidents and hate crimes since pre-pandemic versus during the pandemic? And can you let us know what the police department has done to mitigate some of the reporting process and the filing process?
Unfortunately, 2020 was our highest year ever for anti-Asian hate crimes. It was 3 times as much as the year before. And this is taking into account that most hate crimes are not reported. Most victims do not come forward and make actual reports about this. So the number is still very low of reports that we have, and it was still 3 times as much as the year before. Recognizing that, and that at the beginning of this year, we're looking at another record year for anti-Asian hate crimes. The department authored a new hate crimes policy. And one of the responsibilities in that is every officer on our department of almost 10,000 officers is being retrained on how to complete, respond, and also the victim-centered approach when dealing with hate crime victims.
You mentioned that as a victim-centered approach, and so I wanted to ask about support services that are available to victims. Would you be able to share some about that?
Our victim-centered approach is, instead of the old, just the facts, ma'am, and taking the report and moving on, I'm training our officers to be more aware of and more proactive in getting victims connected with victim services. The state of California has victim services that are available to any victim of the crime. These come from or such examples as counseling when you don't want to go through your private insurance or your employer, relocation if it's a violent crime against you, to child care programs if you lose work because of it. And not only does the state have them, but the city of LA has them, and also the county of LA has the different programs. And a lot of people don't know about these programs. So our officers are now going to advise the victims of these programs and also give out flyers and handouts, which we now have in the Korean language, to help educate the public. One of the things we cannot do and we will not do is violate a victim's confidentiality. So we cannot call for the victim, but we can give we cannot call for the victim or give the victim's information to the agency, but we can give the information to the victim and assist them in getting in contact.
Some of the hesitation that we've heard from the community in reporting hate incidents and hate crimes is their citizenship status. So their immigration status it comes into play, and they're fearful of the INS getting involved and whatnot. So what happens for hate incident, hate crimes, and is it safe to report?
In the city of LA since 1978, we have not partnered with immigration at all. If you are the victim of a crime in the city of Los Angeles, no officer will ask about your residency status at all. And that information does not get shared with any federal agencies. We know that whether you've been here for 20 years or just got here, being a victim and having a right to live safely and without fear, it doesn't matter who you are.
Yes.
So we guarantee that we don't ask that question, we never will ask that question, and to us it doesn't matter. What matters is that if you live in the city of LA, that you feel safe and that your family also feels safe.
Yeah, thank you so much for reiterating how safe it is to report regardless of your immigration status. When you are a victim, the important factor is that you do report and law enforcement is there to help. So please don't be fearful. Don't let that become an impediment to why you would choose not to report, because remember that when you report, you also help future potential victims. We are so appreciative of having Detective Orlando Martinez here today to educate us on the process of hate incident, hate crime reporting and what takes place in the station. Please continue to stand together with us during this time of the increase in hate incidents and hate crimes. You can really make a difference. Your voice matters. What you go through matters. And please stand together in solidarity with our community. Thank you.